fight breakdown of Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk. What a performance by Alexander Usyk. I mean, he showed a different element to his game today. We all know he had the front foot pressure. We all knew he could pot shot. But today he showed on the back foot he could counter punch against an overly aggressive knockout puncher in Daniel Dubois. And honestly, I've got to say, this is one of the best counter punching displays I've seen in boxing. And that is a massive statement because for a guy as big as Usyk, and I know he's not considered a giant heavyweight, he's still a big guy at 227 pounds and 6'3". But he was counter punching in there with the dexterity of a guy that was like a middleweight or a welterweight, and that's just phenomenal. I mean, I was in awe of just seeing how every time Daniel Dubois punched and he missed, Usyk was right there with the counter shot, and he was landing it with accuracy. You know, he wasn't missing the counters, he was timing them perfectly, he was making Daniel Dubois fall in. And really, that was an element of Usyk's game I hadn't seen before. We'd seen him on the front foot, we'd seen him pot shot guys, but this here was just another brilliant performance by the king of the heavyweight division, the king of the heavyweight era. And I don't see any heavyweight today really beating him. The only thing that's going to beat him is Father Time, but he looks like he's getting better with age. But let's break down the fight. It started in round one. Daniel Dubois came on the front foot immediately. He didn't try to box Usyk at the center of the ring like he did in the last fight. And within about 30 seconds of the fight, the first significant punch, just as in their first fight, was a awkward jab that Usyk throws from a sort of upward angle. And that kind of put a little bit of doubt in Daniel's brain. Daniel went back a little bit, but then he came back to pressuring him. Usyk then again landed a jab. And this round was really Daniel Dubois pressuring with no real reward. He was getting countered. He actually kind of buzzed Daniel Dubois with one of his counter shots. And you could see from round one, it was a very dominant first round from Usyk that because Daniel was pressuring him, he was able to find his range very quickly and land power punches in the form of counter punches. Usually, when you're boxing and it's a lot of a cagey first round, you don't see power shots being landed. But when you're in there and you have an overly aggressive opponent, you are going to walk in shots. And this kind of leads into what a lot of people say when they say, oh, just go in and pressure Alexander Usyk. With a guy of Alexander Usyk's skill, dexterity, quickness, you can't just walk in on him unless you've got a granite chin and you are a very good pressure fighter. Getting into round two, it was more of the same. It was a dominant round. It was a lot more headhunting from the boy. He wasn't really going to the body as much as I thought he would, and he was becoming predictable. He wasn't using feints. He was coming in straight lines, and he was just coming in at Usyk very basically and very predictably, which was allowing Usyk to land counter shots. It was another round for Usyk. Round three, I thought actually was a good round for Dubois. He started to actually land some of his power shots, but I still think Usyk won this round with the cleaner punches. I think he controlled most of the rounds, although he did get hit a few times. If there was one round you could give to Daniel Dubois in this fight, it was the third round. Then going into the fourth round, it was more of the same. Usyk was dominating. His left hand was finding the mark. He was moving in there. He was countering beautifully in this fight. I mean, I just can't really articulate to maybe people who are newer to the sport of boxing just how impressive the counter-punching display from Usyk was in this fight, especially for a man who's 227 pounds. You just don't see that. You just don't see someone counter like this. And like I said, there was a different element to his game. A lot of people would have thought if Daniel did this, that he would have been in Usyk's face and he would have given him a lot of problems because Usyk wouldn't have had the power to keep him off. But guess what? In round five, Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois, things got heated up. Daniel Dubois was having success in rounds 3 and 4, but to me, he lost at least three of those. Well, definitely lost three of those four, and maybe all of those rounds. And then in round 5, Usyk was, you could start to see the gap. Usyk was actually now starting to tee off on Daniel Dubois and land combinations. You could slowly see the confidence of Daniel Dubois dropping, but Daniel Dubois had one last throw of the dice. And after Usyk had had a lot of success, he had um, uh, Dubois had Usyk up on the ropes, landed a good right hand, and you could actually see from ringside a lot of the crowd were getting animated because Daniel Dubois had Usyk on the ropes, landed a very good shot, and they thought, oh, hold on here, he might actually do some damage to Usyk. This might be the moment. He's got him trapped on the ropes. He's landed a very good right hand, but guess what? Usyk counters him with a right hook, and Daniel Dubois goes down to the canvas. Again, he gets back up, and now it's just a shootout. And Alexander Usyk lands a punch that he calls an Ivan, similar to the shot he landed against Tony Bellew, knocks Daniel Dubois' gum shield out of his mouth and sends him to the canvas. And this isn't Daniel Dubois taking a knee here. This is the first, maybe time, I mean, you could say the Lorena fight, but this was one of the real first times that Daniel really had been knocked down and he couldn't beat the count. Some people say that Daniel got up after 10 and, he quit. Listen, he was badly hurt. And Alexander Usyk became the 3-time undisputed champion of boxing 2 times in the heavyweight division. And every time we doubt this guy, he just keeps proving us wrong. Daniel was coming in great form, but it wasn't enough. And I'm just going to say this here and now. Alexander Usyk has cemented himself as one of the greatest heavyweights that has ever lived. Anyone who wants to debate that, I guess you can, but I don't think you're winning the argument. I think Alexander Usyk is absolutely phenomenal. And I think this fight, and I know people are saying it was Daniel Dubois, and I will be fair here. I do think Dubois lost in a pretty brutal fashion, but I'm going to be fair. If he tried to box Usyk, he was going to lose anyway. It might have looked better, and it might have been a better PR for if you lose the fight. Well, Daniel lost, but he went the distance, and he had some success in there. He couldn't outbox Usyk. Blah blah blah. No, he went for it, and he went for it in a way that boxing fans have said, "Why don't you just do this against Usyk? Why don't you just run in on him and try to take his head off? He's this small cruiserweight." Well, now we found out why fighters don't want to do that. Because when you do that, what happened to Daniel Dubois happens to you. And just to put this into perspective, Alexander Usyk is 8-0 against British fighters. He's beaten AJ twice, Fury twice, Daniel Dubois twice. What more is there for him to do? He's been undisputed at cruiserweight. He's also beaten, obviously, Derek Chisora at heavyweight. Me personally, I'd like to see him retire. If he was to fight on, and this is just my opinion, the 2 fighters I'd like to see him fight are Agit Kabayel or Moses Talma. Now, I know people can say, what about Joseph Parker? Listen, Joseph Parker deserves these shots, but if you're talking about the 2 most interesting fights to me, I think they're Moses Talma and Agit Kabayel. Now, I know what people can say, well, Moses Talma is 18 years old, and he's green and he's this and that. When you understand boxing to a certain level and you know what you're looking at, you can see who's going to give a guy the most trouble. In my opinion, it would either be Caballero or Moses Talma. And I'll maybe make a different video about why I think those 2 were given the most trouble. But to be honest with you, Usyk is the king. He can put his feet up. He can wear that crown on his head. And he never needs to throw another punch in his life. So I don't want people to misunderstand what I've said. As a boxing fan, as someone who loves this sport and who likes to see fighters go out on top because for all the entertainment they've provided us, I don't want to see Alexander Usyk fight on longer than he should. But to be honest with you, he looked phenomenal in there. I think he should retire on this note. He has nothing left to prove. But if he was to fight again, those are the 2 fighters I'd like to see him fight most. This was a great event. Daniel Dubois He's gonna have to lick his wounds, but I think he'll come back. I think he's got to learn a lot. I mean, if he's going to try that strategy against a fighter like Usyk, he needs to have more feints. He needs to have more unpredictability. You can't just walk in on Usyk, basic heavy legged like you would other fighters in the division. He's just too good of a counter puncher. His ring IQ is too good. He can pot shot you. He can front foot pressure you. He can counter punch you on the back foot. He can have a jabbing match with you at the center of the ring. He can do it all. He's a complete fighter. He's got a great chin. He's got very good speed. He's got amazing footwork. Guys, enjoy this guy while you can. Maybe he won't fight again, but he probably will have one more fight because you'll be lucky to see another 2 or 3 fighters as great as Alexander Usyk in your lifetime. That's all for me. Much love. Take care. I'm out.